Hey guys, Tom here again from synthhacker.com and welcome back to another tutorial for Serum. Got a good one for you today. This is a trap lead, kind of like a horn brass, kind of like really aggressive lead. I'll just quickly show you what it sounds like and then we'll get to making it from scratch. It is quite complicated, a lot going on in the effects and stuff like that, so I'll probably try and get through it fairly quickly. But yeah, this is the sound that we're going to be looking at. So yeah, like I said, really nice, aggressive, kind of like horn or brass type lead, using in a lot of trap tracks really. And then you could really take this kind of basic sound and then, do a lot more with it as well with like external effects. But on its own, it is a really nice, nice aggressive trap sound. So we're going to go ahead and initialize the preset here. As always guys, before getting into this, if you haven't done already, definitely go ahead and check out my Serum Mega Preset Pack, which contains over 600 presets, all handcrafted by me, spanning multiple genres. Definitely go ahead and check that out over at synthhacker.com, or you can click the link in the description down below as well. And as always guys, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with future tutorials as well. But without further ado, let's begin making this sound. Like I said, it is quite complex, so we're going to try to go through it fairly quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that the sound is monophonic. We're only going to be playing one note at a time, and we want each note to slide from one to another. So we're going to switch mono and portamento on down here, as you will have heard in the demo at the start as well. We're going to make sure that the sub oscillator, noise oscillator, and oscillator A and B are on. We're not going to use the sub oscillator as a sub oscillator. What we're going to do is actually use it to produce an additional saw wave to fill out the sound as well. Typically this type of sound you don't want sub bass anyway, because you'll have the 808 underneath it, and otherwise they'll just clash. And then in the noise, we're just going to bring the level down a little bit as well, so it's not dominating the sound too much. We're going to use a noise which we're going to pitch up a little bit. We're going to use the J106 high pass chorus noise. This is just going to help fill out the frequency spectrum a little bit in the sound. Now, oscillator A and B, we're actually not using oscillator B as a normal oscillator. We're just going to use it as a modulation source. So we're going to turn the level down, and we're going to use it as a frequency modulation source. And we're going to keep this all the way to the left for now, because we're actually going to set up an envelope in just a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that oscillator A just stays as it is, just the default saw wave. But oscillator B, we're going to use a warped sine wave. So we're just going to use a normal sine wave. Sorry, not basic mini. You need to go to basic shapes. We're just going to use the sine wave, and then we're going to use the sync warp mode, the sync no window warp mode. Somewhere around there, and then we're going to use this synced waveform as a modulation source for oscillator A. Now, one thing that you should make sure that you do for this sound, something that I did, was go into global settings here, and then you can see there's all these options for the unison, and one of them is called stack. And what this will do is stack the unison that you set up. So we're going to have about 7 voices on here. These voices of unison, if we change this, will actually be octaves stacked upon one another. So this is really cool, because the unison is actually can be like a higher octave than the actual oscillator, which helps really thicken up the sound. And especially because we're using it as a modulation source as well, this will have a compound effect on oscillator A as well. So simply all you need to do is just change both of these to 12 and then 3 times like that. And then what we can start doing is manipulating the oscillator section. So we're going to bring the detune all the way down. We're also going to bring the blend all the way down as well. And also on both oscillators, we're going to bring the random phase down. Having random phase all the way up is good on like key sounds and stuff, because it means that each waveform is started at a different point every time you press a note, which can be nice on like keys and pads and stuff. But for this, because we want it to be super consistent each time we play a note, we're going to make sure that the random parameter on both these oscillators is all the way down. The next thing we're going to do is go into our envelopes. For the amplitude envelope, which by default is envelope 1, we're just going to add a little bit of release. But then what we're going to do is use envelope 2 to modulate the FM and also the cutoff frequency, which we'll get to in a second. We're going to bring the sustain all the way down. We're going to make the slope a bit more linear. And then we're going to make the decay around 2.6, something like that, 2.5, I'd say would be good, and give it a little bit of release as well. Anyway, it's fine, about 2.4 or something like that. And then what we're going to do is drag and drop this onto the FM amount, and what this will do at the start of the sound, it means that we're going to have a lot of frequency modulation to add the nice crisp attack to the sound, nice harsh attack. And then over time this will kind of smoothen out a little bit, which is really cool. And it's the kind of the effect that we're going for. We're going to go into the filter section next. We're going to make sure oscillator A and the sub oscillator are both being routed through the filter. Bring the cutoff frequency all the way down, and then we're going to use the envelope here to modulate the cutoff position. So now we have this. So it's getting there, but it does need a little bit of further polishing. So what we can do now, we're actually going to turn the resonance down because we don't want any resonance. But what we're going to do is go into the effects, and this is really where the sound comes to life a little bit. We're going to use quite a few effects, so just bear with me. First effect we're going to use is the distortion, and we're going to move this to the top of the effects chain. Next, we're going to use the asim distortion. We're going to keep the mode set to off, so we're not using the filter section. We're going to push the drive all the way up and bring the mix down to just over halfway, and this just adds some like nice crisp upper harmonics. Next, we're going to use a filter. We're going to use the drive function of the filter. If we just move this up to after the distortion, the filter I use, it doesn't really matter too much. It was a high pass 12 dB filter, just in case you want to make sure it's exactly the same. But we're not actually using it as a typical filter. What we're going to do is bring the cutoff all the way down, so it's not actually acting on the sound much at all. But then what we're going to do is add some drive, and this will just help add a nice little bit of overdrive as well. The drive functions in the filters in Serum are really cool. Next thing we're going to do is go into the hyperdimension effect. We're going to move the mix amount on the dimension expander just less than halfway and boost the size a little bit. And then what we're going to do is use a little bit of the hyper section as well. We're going to bring the detune right down, and we're going to bring the rate right up. You can hear that really thickens up the sound nicely. If you think that's a bit too much, you can bring the mix amount down on either of these, or you can switch it off altogether. It's completely up to you. I quite liked it. Next, let's see, we added some chorus. Sorry, I know there's a lot of effects on this, but yeah, hopefully you can just bear with me through it. And yeah, just a little bit of chorus just to kind of widen the sound a little bit, make it sound a little bit thicker. Next, I just added some reverb, a really kind of small reverb. I brought the size down quite a bit, brought the mix down quite a bit, so it's just a bit more subtle. Bring the high cut down. Usually I push this up because it can be a little bit harsh, but for this, because we're going for a super aggressive sound, having some nice high frequencies in the reverb will be useful. Bring the low cut up, so we're just getting rid of some of the muddy low frequencies. And then finally, just to polish the sound up, we're going to use a high pass EQ. Bring the Q down a little bit to make it a bit smoother, and just bring it up to about 200, something like that. And then this is our final sound. So hopefully you like this sound. Really useful for those kind of like aggressive trap styles. You could use this alongside other leads as well. I'm sure you guys, you know, you can do much more creative things with this sound than what I've done in this kind of short tutorial. But yeah, hopefully you got some use out of this tutorial. Hopefully you liked the sound and learned a thing or two. If you did, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to stay up to date with new ones. Again, if you haven't done already, please go ahead and check out my website over that at synthhacker.com, or click the link in the description below to check out my preset pack for Serum. Like I said, the Serum Mega Pack is actually on sale at the minute, which contains over 600 presets for Serum, all handcrafted by me, and there's some audio demos on there and stuff, so you know what you're purchasing. That really helps me out and supports the channel, and also you'll get your hands on some nice presets as well. But yeah, without further ado, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.